My name is Kayla, and at 32, I once believed my life was almost idyllic. I was ambitiously scaling the corporate hierarchy at a prestigious firm, eagerly eyeing a department manager role. Amid the long hours dedicated to my career, I encountered an unforeseen twist in my path: love. His name was Terry, a colleague from another department. He wasn't as advanced in his career as I was, but that was inconsequential. We clicked immediately, and our workplace romance quickly deepened into a meaningful commitment that led us to marriage. Our employer supported us. Our relationship was transparent and heartfelt, not a hidden fling. We were blissfully settled in a spacious, beautiful home, a testament to our shared dreams and the family we hoped to build. However, not everything in our life is flawless. The primary issue was our income disparity. I consistently earned more than Terry, and although it never troubled me, it was a persistent sore point for him. One cold evening, as we relaxed in our living room, Terry broached the subject again. "Does the money difference ever bother you?" he inquired, eyes fixed on the fireplace. "No, Terry, it doesn't," I responded assuredly. "I love you for you, not your income. We're in this together, remember?" I tried to comfort him. He sighed deeply. "I just feel like I should be earning more, you know. It's not the usual way." I took his hand softly. "We're not a typical couple, Terry. We set our standards. We're happy, right?" He agreed, though his eyes betrayed his words. This discussion was a recurring theme, always leaving a subtle but persistent tension. Life is unpredictable, and it blindsided me completely on what appeared to be an ordinary Tuesday. It was just supposed to be a routine medical checkup. As I waited in the doctor's sterile office, fidgeting with my shirt hem, I anticipated the standard declaration of health. Instead, I received a startling diagnosis. The doctor, a compassionate woman in her 50s, looked solemn as she broke the news. "Kayla, I'm sorry to inform you, but you have cancer." The word cancer reverberated through me, stirring a mix of fear and disbelief. "Are you sure?" I managed, my voice faltering as panic set in. She nodded, her face full of sympathy. "I understand this is overwhelming. We need to discuss your treatment options." Her words faded into a blur as I struggled to process the reality. Cancer? Me? It seemed impossible. I had always considered myself healthy. Leaving the doctor's office, the world around me continued unperturbed, but for me, everything had shifted dramatically. Caught in a chilling moment of truth, I was overwhelmed by the news of my diagnosis. I reached out to Terry immediately. He answered after a couple of rings, his voice casual, anticipating a routine update. "Terry, it's not good," I said, my voice unsteady. "What's wrong, Kayla? Tell me," he responded, his tone now laden with worry. "It's cancer, Terry. I've been diagnosed with cancer," I revealed, barely keeping my composure. Silence fell heavy on the line before he finally spoke. "Oh no, Kayla, I'm so sorry. Are you all right? Where are you right now?" "I'm still at the doctor's office. No, I'm not okay, Terry. I'm really scared," I admitted, feeling the fear grip my heart. "I'm coming right now. We'll tackle this together, Kayla. You're not alone in this," he assured me firmly. His words sparked a glimmer of hope within me, suggesting that perhaps we could weather this storm as a team. Following that day, our lives became a hectic sequence of doctor visits and medical tests. I began my chemotherapy, a brutal regimen that sapped my strength and spirits. Terry was a solid presence at the start, attending treatments with me and offering his unwavering support. But as the weeks passed, his presence dwindled. His assurances felt hollow, and his visits grew infrequent. When I questioned his absences, he always replied, "Work is overwhelming right now, Kayla. I'm just so exhausted." I tried to empathize, recognizing that he was processing this ordeal in his way, yet I felt a painful distance growing between us. Amid these trying times, my parents and my best friend Sharon became my pillars of support. They checked on me constantly, brought warmth and comfort to my days in the hospital, and filled the growing void left by Terry's absence. Despite feeling abandoned, I held on to the hope that our bond was still intact. One day, Sharon visited with a stack of magazines and some snacks, but her usual cheer was shadowed by unease. "What's going on? You seem off today," I noted, concerned by her demeanor. After a moment's hesitation, Sharon's voice dropped to a whisper. "Kayla, something strange happened when I was near your house the other day." My heart tensed, bracing for more bad news. I heard laughter, loud, distinctly feminine laughter. "It seemed like there was a party or something," she reported with a worried look. A cold shiver ran down my spine. A party? Terry hadn't mentioned anything about hosting anyone. Sharon continued, uncertain. "Maybe he had friends over? I'm not sure, Kayla, but it just didn't sit right with me." Her next words shook me. "I'm worried there might be someone else, Kayla. Terry has been scarce lately, and this just adds to my concern," she confessed, clearly troubled. The seed of doubt was planted, and a tumult of betrayal, anger, and fear began to swell within me. "I have to find out, Sharon. I can't just sit here not knowing," I declared, a sense of urgency propelling me. "But what about your treatment?" Sharon objected, her worry evident. "I know, but I can't ignore this. I need to confront this," I insisted, resolute despite the complexity of my emotions. With Sharon's assistance, I arranged an early discharge from the hospital. The doctors reluctantly agreed, stressing the importance of continuing my treatment as an outpatient. The drive home was fraught with anxiety, each scenario of what I might find playing over in my mind. I needed answers. As we arrived, the house appeared serene, unchanged on the surface, but the uncertainty of what lay inside loomed large. As we entered the house, something felt unmistakably wrong. The atmosphere had shifted. It no longer felt like our shared sanctuary. Voices drifted from the living room, and my heart thudded heavily as we approached. The scene that greeted us was startling. A couple sat there, looking just as stunned to see us as we were to see them. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" I demanded, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and disbelief. The woman, likely in her late 30s, stood up. "I'm sorry, but who are you? We're renting this place," she explained. "Renting? This is my house. I live here with my husband, Terry," I replied, my mind reeling from her words. The man, who had been silent until now, chimed in. "We've been here for a few weeks. We made a deal with Terry. He mentioned the house was going to be sold and we're interested in buying it." My world shattered in that instant. Not only was there another woman in my house, but I was also confronted with the news that my husband, the man I had trusted implicitly, was planning to sell our home without my knowledge. I felt as though I was trapped in a nightmare, one that refused to end. As I stood in the living room, a place that once symbolized our shared dreams, the couple, Roy and Catherine, looked at me with a mixture of confusion and sympathy. They introduced themselves, clearly uncomfortable but trying to remain polite. My attention was scattered and my emotions were in chaos. "Please, can you call Terry? I need to speak to him," I said, my voice shaky but determined. Roy nodded and pulled out his phone. "Of course I have his number. He told us to call if we needed anything." The wait for Terry to arrive was torturous. My heart raced with a whirlwind of emotions, anger, betrayal, disbelief. When he finally appeared, his expression was one of shock, not the kind I expected. "Kayla, what are you doing here? You should be in the hospital," he said, his voice tinged with annoyance rather than concern. His reaction only fueled my anger further. "What am I doing here, Terry? What are you doing selling our house behind my back?" He dared to look irritated. "I can explain, Kayla. It's simple, really. Explain how you could betray me like this." My voice rose despite my efforts to control it. Terry's expression hardened. "Listen, Kayla, you're sick. The cancer might not even go away. I have to think about my life too. I can't be tied down waiting for whatever comes next." His words felt like a slap. They were cruel, unrecognizable from the man I thought I knew. "You're talking about selling our home, our life together, as if it's just a transaction. Is this really you, Terry?" Disbelief and hurt thickened my voice. He shrugged, a cold look in his eyes. "It's practical, Kayla. You're not going to make it, and I need the money to build my life. Besides, I would get this house anyway, if you know." His words twisted like a knife in my gut. The full weight of his betrayal was more crushing than any suspicion I had harbored. "I can't believe you, Terry. After everything, this is what it comes down to. Money and convenience?" I struggled to hold back tears. Terry seemed unfazed. "Life goes on, Kayla. Yours might not." The brazenness in Terry's words left me reeling. I struggled to find my voice amidst the shock. I had imagined various painful scenarios, but the sheer coldness he displayed was beyond anything I could have anticipated. "And you think you can just do this? Sell our house? Leave me with nothing while I'm battling for my life?" My voice shook with a mix of rage and sorrow. He shrugged, a gesture now laced with contempt that sent a wave of revulsion through me. "I'm doing what I need to survive. You can do whatever you want, Kayla. It doesn't matter to me anymore." Amidst the whirlwind of my emotions, a fierce resolve took hold. "I'll fight you on this, Terry, and I will make sure the company knows how you treat your sick wife. You won't get away with this," I asserted. He scoffed, dismissive and cold. "Do what you want, Kayla. I'm done here." With those final words, he turned and walked away, leaving a trail of icy disdain. Standing alone, the reality hit hard. I hardly recognized the man I once loved. It was clear that this was not just a fight for my health, but a fight for my rights and dignity. The room was heavy with silence after Terry's departure. Roy and Catherine, the unwitting couple caught in this debacle, stood awkwardly, clearly eager to leave the tense scene. "Look, I'm sorry about all this. We had no idea," Roy said, his voice laden with genuine regret. "Yeah, we just wanted a place to stay. We didn't know about all this," Catherine added, her eyes filled with sympathy. I managed a weak smile. "It's not your fault. You were just looking for a home." Although they offered to leave, I insisted they stay. They weren't the ones at fault for Terry's deception. After they left, I sat alone, consumed by a storm of betrayal, anger, and helplessness. Yet, amid those feelings, a fiery determination was crystallizing. I was not going to let Terry trample over me. The next morning, I called my lawyer and laid everything out. He was appalled but resolute in his support. "Don't worry, Kayla. We'll make sure he doesn't get away with this," he assured me. A flicker of hope sparked within me. With legal support, I was ready to claim what was rightfully mine. Knowing I needed to confront Terry directly, I steeled myself for a challenging encounter at his office. My heart pounded as I walked through the corridors, sensing the curious glances of my colleagues. I didn't hesitate at his office door but pushed it open, catching him off guard. "Kayla, what are you doing here?" he asked, a blend of surprise and annoyance on his face. "I'm here to tell you that I know everything and I'm not going to let you get away with it," I declared, my voice steady despite the inner turmoil. Terry scoffed. "What are you going to do? You're sick, Kayla. You should be resting, not stirring up drama." I took a deep breath, grounding myself. "I've spoken to my lawyer. We're going to fight you for the house, and I'm going to tell the bosses about everything you've done," I stated firmly. Terry's expression hardened. "You think you can scare me? Go ahead, tell them, see if I care." I met his gaze squarely. "I'm not trying to scare you, Terry. I'm telling you what I'm going to do. You can't just discard me because I'm sick." He leaned back, smugness overtaking his features. "You think you can win this?" "I'm not the villain here, Kayla. I'm just trying to move on." Anger surged within me at his audacity. "By selling our home? By leaving me with nothing?" I retorted. Terry shrugged nonchalantly. "Life is tough, Kayla. You should know that better than anyone." His words were a harsh reminder of the battle ahead, but I was resolved to fight it, no matter how daunting. I shook my head in disgust, barely recognizing the man before me. "Terry, you're not the man I married," I told him, my voice heavy with disappointment. He replied coolly, perhaps revealing his true nature for the first time. "Maybe you never really knew me at all." With those final words, I turned and left his office. I had said all I needed to. Now it was time to engage in the legal battles ahead. The following days became a blur of paperwork, strategic meetings, and legal consultations. Although my health was on the mend, the fight for my rights and dignity was just beginning. Every day, I compiled more evidence to strengthen my case for the house, leaning heavily on my significant financial contributions to our shared assets. My resolve to see this through never wavered. My lawyer was encouraging, Kayla. You have a solid case. The financial details are clear, and given your circumstances, it's highly unlikely a judge will favor Terry, he assured me over the phone. Thank you, I responded, feeling a weight lift slightly. I appreciate your help more than you can imagine. We're on a good path, but let's stay cautious, he advised. I knew the legal system was full of uncertainties, but for the first time in a while, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. At work, the environment had become strained. My confrontation with Terry had stirred the office dynamics, leading to hushed whispers and surreptitious glances. Despite this, some colleagues expressed their support discreetly, which I appreciated. However, I couldn't allow these dynamics to distract me from my larger goals. I decided it was necessary to meet with our executives and explain the situation fully. It was a difficult conversation, laying out Terry's betrayal and the implications of his actions, including the sale of our home without my knowledge. The executives were visibly shocked but empathetic. "We're so sorry, Kayla. This is completely unacceptable," one commented, and they assured me that they would address the situation with Terry. Their response was reassuring. This behavior can't be tolerated. Days later, they informed me that Terry had been dismissed. His actions were inconsistent with the company's values. It was a small but significant victory for me. As my health improved and the treatments proved effective, I felt a flicker of hope amidst the ongoing chaos. One evening, as I sat in my modest rental home reflecting on my next steps, my phone rang. It was Terry. Hesitating, I answered. "Kayla, please, we need to talk," he pleaded, his voice desperate. "What is there to talk about, Terry?" I asked, maintaining my composure. "I was wrong. I've been fired. I'm sorry, Kayla. I didn't think it would go this far," he confessed, almost begging. I took a deep breath, the hurt still raw. "You hurt me, Terry, deeply. I can't just forget that." "I know. I regret it. Can we settle this without going to court?" he asked, his tone defeated. After a brief pause, I replied, "I will not back down. Never." The line went silent. "I understand. I'll have my lawyer contact yours," he finally said. Terry's call changed nothing. He had revealed his true nature, and there was no undoing the betrayal. I was transformed by the ordeal, emerging stronger and more determined. As the dust settled around the house dispute and my impending divorce, I found myself at the threshold of a new chapter. It was a daunting yet invigorating prospect, stepping into the unknown after such a long, tumultuous journey. My health was improving, and with it my spirit was rejuvenating, ready to embrace whatever came next. The road to full recovery still lay ahead of me. One afternoon, I found myself at the clinic for a routine checkup. The waiting room was tranquil, filled only with the soft hum of the air conditioner. When the nurse called my name, I followed her to the examination room, where Dr. Emma, my oncologist, greeted me with a warm smile. "Hi, Kayla. It's so good to see you. How are you feeling?" he asked. "I'm feeling better, thank you," I replied as I settled into the chair. "That's what we like to hear," he said, flipping through my chart. "Your latest scans show improvement. The treatment is working." A sigh of relief escaped me. "That's great news," I exclaimed, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. "Yes, but remember, it's a long road ahead. You need to take care of yourself," he reminded me gently. "I know, and I will," I assured him. He nodded, satisfied with my response. As I left the clinic, a mix of emotions washed over me. Hope was certainly part of it, but I also felt a deep sense of responsibility. This was my life, and I was determined to take charge of it. Back at work, I immersed myself in my projects. It was a distraction from my struggles, but it also reminded me that I had a purpose beyond my illness and personal challenges. One day, while I was in the break room, I overheard a couple of colleagues chatting. "Did you hear about Terry? He's trying to get his job back," one of them said. "Really? After everything he did? Good luck with that," the other replied. I remained silent, stirring my coffee. Terry's choices were his own, and I was focused on my path, which did not include him. After work, I met my friend Julia for dinner. She had been my rock through all the ups and downs. "How are you holding up?" she asked as we sat down. "I'm okay, just taking it one day at a time," I replied. "That's all you can do. And hey, you're doing amazing," she said, offering a reassuring smile. "Thanks, Julia. I couldn't have done it without your support," I said, grateful for her presence. "We're in this together," she said, raising her glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my glass with hers. The next few months blended into a routine filled with small victories. Each doctor's visit brought more good news. My strength was gradually returning, along with a newfound determination to live life on my terms. The treatments had worked and my doctors were optimistic. I was officially in remission. Walking into the office that morning, I felt an overwhelming sense of pride. I had not only kept my job through the toughest times, but had also excelled. My team welcomed me with warm smiles and heartfelt congratulations. The workday was busy, but I didn't mind. Being productive gave me a sense of normalcy. Later, I met Julia for lunch. She had become more than a friend. She was my pillar of strength. "You look radiant, Kayla," she exclaimed as we settled at our favorite cafe. "I feel it too, Julia. It's like a new beginning," I replied, a smile spreading across my face. "And you deserve every bit of it." "So what's next for you?" she asked, sipping her coffee. "I've been thinking about that. I want to give back. Maybe volunteer at the cancer center, share my story, and help others," I said, the idea resonating deeply with me. "That's wonderful, Kayla. You'll be amazing at it," she encouraged. After lunch, I took a walk in the park. The sun was shining and the air felt fresh and invigorating. I found a bench to sit on, allowing myself a moment to breathe. Life was precious, and I was ready to embrace every moment of it. As I walked home, feeling a mixture of hope and gratitude, my phone suddenly rang. It was my boss, Mr. Gabriel. "Kayla, I have good news. The board has approved your proposal for the new project," he announced, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "That's fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. I promise I won't let you down," I replied, excitement bubbling inside me. "I know you won't. Keep up the good work," he said before ending the call. Once I was back home, I took a moment to reflect on my journey. From the initial shock of my diagnosis to the betrayal and eventual divorce, it had truly been a roller coaster of emotions. Yet here I was, standing tall and ready to embrace life. Inspired by my experiences, I decided to write a blog post to share my story with the world. As I sat down at my computer, the words flowed effortlessly from my fingers. I wrote about my pain, the challenges I had faced, and the resilience that had carried me through. I described the moments of despair and the small victories that had ultimately led to my triumph. When I finally hit the publish button, I felt an incredible sense of liberation. My story was now out in the open, and I hoped it would resonate with others. If my journey could inspire even one person, it would be worth every struggle I had endured. Sharing my experiences felt like a way to reclaim my narrative and offer hope to anyone facing their battles.